Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Bryan. I'm a research scientist at Adobe. Just joined half a year ago, very fresh. Hope you're enjoying your morning here in Japan. Today, I'm going to talk about. Actually, I don't see my notes. Let me. Yes, start viewing. And here we go. All right, so today I'm very excited to talk about my work on the future of human AI co-creation for video particularly. But before that, I want to talk about content creation. So, content has always been central to human civilization, right? From very early cave painting to drawings on paper, to photography, and then to films. This evolution, a key driver behind them, has been the advancements of tools, from analog tools like stones, pen brushes, to more digital technologies like computers. And just as computers has revolutionized content creation in the past decades, AI is emerging as a new paradigm, unlocking novel forms of content and enabling tools to support entirely new creative workflows. Especially generative AI, we're seeing it basically impacting every domain of media, in writing, in imagery, in video creation, even music. Gen AI is reshaping content creation. And today I really want to talk about how Gen AI is reshaping video creation workflows. Specifically, I want to share 3 pieces of work on how AI is changing 3 stages in video creation: script writing, editing, and the feedback process. Right, script writing. Has anyone here ever read a movie script before? Can you raise your hand? Okay, so not a lot. So it's actually surprisingly simple if you think about movies, right? It's a plain text document that outlines scene settings, character dialogues. Yet during this production, the whole team transformed the basic textual document into a sophisticated audio-visual experience. But because script writing is basically the first stage in filmmaking, writers often have to rely on their own mental visualization, which is a process that is first difficult, second very hard to communicate with others. You don't know what I'm thinking about, right? And one common workaround here is to reference existing visual scenes from other movies. But these visuals aren't really tailored to the specific context of the script being written at the moment. So we started to think about, what if we can actually generate the audio-visual realization of the script while it's being written? That would be cool, right? So this led us to explore this project called Script to Screen, which is led by brilliant students at the DGP Lab in University of Toronto. The idea here is that as writers are working on the script, they can directly see and hear the audio-visual realization, allowing them to preview how a scene might feel like as they're working on the script. So under the hood, we use LLMs to parse the dialogue script that users write and infer the emotional tone and the speech delivery and the visual settings suitable for that particular dialogue script. Once we have this information, we built an audio-visual generation pipeline that not only renders expressive speech, but also generates what is called code-speech gestures, which are movements that align with the emotional tone and acoustic and emphasis in speech, which is exactly what I'm doing now. So here's the demo. It's about a script that written by CS undergrads who's like kind of anxious about job hunting. And let's take a look at how the audio-visual realization feels like.
Hey Ted, I'm really starting to think these job postings are just like trolling us,
Right? Like, they want 5 years of experience for what? An entry-level position? Do they really think we've been coding in our sleep or something?
Maybe we should just make up some experience. Saying something like, I hacked into my neighbor's Wi-Fi when I was 10. That sounds impressive, right?
Or how about expert in pretending to understand job descriptions on the first read?
Yeah, and you know what? If all else fails, we can totally list professional email refresher as a skill.
All right, that's a demo. Seems like nobody finds this funny. But anyway, Well, the most exciting part of script to screen to me is this idea of bridging two traditionally separated stages in filmmaking, the writing and the media production, right? By enabling users to create script and audio visuals in an integrated workflow. It's like a what you write is what you get editor, both for script writing. As you can see here, the visuals are still low fidelity because the goal was to support script writing process. However, future work can easily leverage more advanced text-to-video generation to really produce high-fi outputs as the user writes the script. So it's possible that in the future, once you finish the script, you actually also finish the production. All right, another important stage of video creation workflow is editing. I think here, everyone probably all have done some video editings for Kai and West, etc. So you probably all resonate with that. There are two categories of challenges in video editing. One is conceptualization. What should I create? What is the story, right? And then the second category is the manual efforts that's typically associated with very complicated UI video editing tools. So we were curious about what if there's an AI that can act as a collaborator to help you navigate through all these challenges associated in the editing process. And to explore that future, I work on this project called Lathe, which integrates an LLM agent into the video editing environment. This was done at Meta Reality Labs while as an intern with people there, but also with Haijin here today. This LLM agent in the Lathe system can do many things, but I'm just going to cover a few of them. First, when users want to create a video and they don't have a good idea, you can look at the footage that users had and brainstorm the ideas with the user. It can also help users sequence their clips to tell a specific story. For example, if I have all this video from my trip and I have a storyline in mind, I can just describe that to the agent. I want the video to start with Paris city vibe to food and drinks to my sister's wedding, that's actually my sister, and then finally ends with a night view of Eiffel Tower. And then, given this storyline, the agent will resequence all the clips on the timeline to really match the visuals with the storyline. Here's how it looks like when editing the video with Lathe. You can see that while we have this agent that can provide automation for video editing, we don't really build it as a fully automated tool because we want to ensure that users still have the full autonomy and agency to in their creative process, so they can use direct manipulation to override or refine any AI automation. And we worked on this idea back in 2023, and many companies are now exploring agentic workflows for video editing, of course, because of our work, right? But here's a demo that I saw on Twitter just a few weeks ago. They are building what they call Cursor for video editing, which closely resembles many components that we have in Lathe. But editing isn't the end of the creative process. It isn't the end of video creation, right? Creativity is inherently iterative. And feedback plays an important role in the iteration process. However, getting timely feedback is hard. One, you can hire an expert to look at your video, but that costs money and takes time. Also, experts are not always available. Alternatively, you can post your video on online platforms like YouTube or Reddit. But that only happens after publications, and creators usually don't want to share their work before they don't want to share half-baked works. So we began exploring this idea of generated feedback. In this project called SynTube, led by Yu Kai Hong from National Taiwan University, we built a system that analyzes users' video and basically simulate the full comment section, like what you will find in YouTube page, right? So this comment section features diverse perspectives and personas from a large persona dataset to give creators a preview of how their audience might react to their video. Users can also customize personas to generate comments from specific perspectives that they are interested in. And they can even chat with this simulated commentators to have back and forth discussion to get more in-depth feedback. All right, so SynTube showcased how AI can simulate high-level feedback from audience. A natural next step is making this feedback more analytical, like what you will get from a professional video editors. Try to trim this part for 3 seconds, try a different shot type for that shot. And that is something that someone's going to work on. So across the 3 projects, we see how AI is redefining video creation workflow. First, it's fusing stages in the traditional video creation workflow. It's acting more as a collaborator in the process, and it's helping close the feedback loop. And it's clear that AI is going to do more. So at the end of this talk, I want to zoom out a little bit to beyond individual projects and think about human-AI relationships in creative process. If you look at the landscape of 10 years, in the past 10 years, AI has mostly acted as a tool. Think about Grammarly, where humans get suggestions, the users still have to do all the actual work ourselves. And then, in the past few years, we started to see a shift. There are more tools that now position AI as a collaborators to users. Think about writing with LLMs. And just in the past few months, there's this idea of vibe something. Vibe coding, vibe writing, vibe painting. The essential idea is AI is going to take the lead that does most of the content generation and creation process, and humans serve more as an approver or disapprover of the creation. So the common pattern here is that humans are increasingly operating on a higher level of abstraction, leaving the low-level details to AI. And this trend will only accelerate, right? Before long, every person might have a whole team of AI agents working for them, like a kind of creative army. And in this future, everyone becomes a director. They can just direct the whole team to produce for them. But ironically, the higher the level of abstraction humans operate on, the more distance they become from the actual creative process. Is it possible that one day humans will be completely removed from the equation? We'll just be fed with endless AI-generated content with no human voice in the loop. What does that mean for creativity? What does it mean for society? So really, I see 2 possible futures here. On the brighter side, yes, AI will boost productivity, democratize creativity, and inspire entirely new forms of artistic expression. But on the darker side, we risk a flood of meaningless content, and with everyone using similar tools, we may see a homogenization of expression. With AI doing the actual hard work, we may face a skill recession, losing the very abilities that we once took pride in. So, finally, to steer us toward that brighter future, I provide a few call to actions to help keep humans at the center of co-creation process. First, generate but grounded in values. We should embrace AI, generative AI, but have it reflect our true values and intent. And to Gonzalo's point, design for intentional friction. Don't let AI handle everything end to end. Build in pauses, questions, and moments for reflections, so users can slow down, think, and let their creativity unfold. Show provenance, embrace imperfection. Clearly show the contributions of both AI and human in the work, and celebrate imperfections that come from human touches. Use AI to grow human skills instead of replacing them, and use AI as a mediator to bring people together in the creation process. Of course, there's much more we can do, and if we work hard and do it right, I'm confident that we're ushering into a positive new era for human creativity. With that, I conclude my talk. Thank you.
Hey Bryan, thanks for the very exciting talk. I'm Arata from the Rand University in Germany. So I was pretty interested in the first part of like a making script writing. Yeah. So I think the real filmmakers would appreciate so if you can also like change the visuals of the video, and so in addition to the script writing. So in that case, so I think this work is so mainly focusing on the script writing. So if the filmmakers want to I'm wondering so if you were also considering so adjusting the process of adjusting the visuals of this filmmaking. So in my understanding, there are 2 ways we can also make a script to set a visual of the from the script, specify visuals. Or so we can also provide way for designer to directly manipulate the design, the visuals.
Yeah.
So, like, did you think about this?
Yeah, totally. That's a great question. We do have like actually lots of freedoms in the environment where users can actually tweak the visuals. They can select different characters, different scenes in the background, and they can also tune the emotions in the speech. So we do have that sort of flexibility in creating the audio visuals realization. But really, the current version, as you can see, is not like hi-fi, right? It's like animation, but we can see a future. You can think about a future where we incorporate Gen AI with more controls, and that would really allow users to, tweak the audio visuals while they're writing the script. If that answers your question.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, Bryan.
Yeah.
This is Andrea from Keist. So my question is about kind of like the idea of the vibe coding, and at the same time over here, all the tools that support like this kind of content generation. So I work with design students, and when they start a project, many times they do vibe coding, so they use cursor and so on. That accelerates a lot the scaffolding. At the beginning, they get really high productivity.
Yeah.
But then just a little bit later, when they get into having to tweak, to rethink some parts of the project, they get really stuck. So there is a huge boost at the beginning, but then it plateaus very quickly, and then somehow it becomes decremental. And I was wondering, what I realized is there are different phases when you do a project, right? There is the initial phase, but then there is also a part where the code becomes more mature and you just do a related tweak.
Yeah.
So in the tool you were showing, we see the beginning part, when you start from the blank page and write the script. But then you wonder, when you have 200 pages of script, and maybe you want to just tweak a vibe, or when you are editing, and then you have a very long video, then the phase changes. And how does at the point content generation comes to play?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, well, I personally vibe code a lot nowadays. I share that struggle. I think one idea I've been thinking a lot about, people having a hard time to really dive deeper into lower details after they vibe code is probably because we don't have a good representation, like that allows people to debug at a higher level of abstraction, because they're able to code in high level of abstraction, but when they're gonna debug, they have to go back to low level details. That creates a gap in their cognitive functions. So really, I think the whole community, or even AI and HCI, we should think about, if we want to continue this trend with vibe coding, what is the right representation that allows users to still be involved in the process, but they can operate on a higher level of cognitive. Yeah, so that's what I've been thinking a lot about. I don't know the answer, but
Thank you.
thanks.
I have two questions. Pick the one you want to, and we can talk about the other one during the break. So did you have a chance to, one of the things that I observed during my work and the work of others is that there's such a thing as called as design fixation. So when you show results too early in the process, people can get fixated into what they're seeing and then lose some potential, better outcomes, local minima and such. So did you have a chance to observe any sort of design fixation events in any of these solutions?
Yeah.
For example, here we're showing already, it's a composition of the scene, what the person is wearing, the lighting of the room, all those things are there, and there's a temptation of like, okay, great, I'm gonna go with that, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. So in this particular project, we didn't observe that because the goal is not to generate that audio visual. It's actually having that audio visual as a help, as an aid for the script writing process. So that audio visual is not particularly important to the user in the process. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so we didn't really observe that, but I think that's a great point because in another slide that I talk about the future work where we can use text to video generation, and if that's going to be an outcome for a future version of that system, I think we might risk that design fixation. So perhaps we can have 3 levels of representation. One is script, and then some rough things like design sketch that's kind of similar like this, and then the third levels, which is like the realistic.
Jen, a quick comment. I really love the presentation at the end, and something we observe in our work as well is for you to consider. Well, I say this: the seat of agency is not fixed. We think about all these places in the timeline and who's a tool, who's a collaborator, and we think that that's the role. Roles change during the task and across tasks over time. So I think we need to think about that chart is not fixed. You can decide to be an orchestrator at the beginning, and then you become, a director at the end, sipping daiquiris.
Yeah.
So that is not fixed. That really is a spectrum that moves over time.
Right. That's a great point. We can talk more. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. I know time is up, so let's welcome the next speaker, Dr. Wang.